captain. Jeku comes back. Kerbalo looking out with Hastori, and of course the back line, Jules Favre, great defensive game. Suteni, wonderful playmaker, and Jack Noel and Dulan, of course. Dulan, a former Racing man on the bench. Bergeron Tango, West Donti, some big boys on that bench who will come out and try and take on this Racing team at one point. But look at the Racing team. Let's see who they've got. Kolinga, Shah, Nirkani. Nirkani potentially is one of his last games before he heads back to South Africa. Waki, one of the best poachers in the lineouts, linking up with Will Rowlands, the Welsh lock. Diallo, Joseph, Kolisi. Some big back rowers there, and then the back line. It just smells of success when you've got Tuisova linking up with Fiku and Chavancy, the veteran who still plays top quality rugby. Habosi, of course. I mean, there's quality throughout. It's a dry evening. Maybe expect a little sprinkling of rain at one point. Doesn't look like it now, but I think that everything's set for a really explosive game of rugby, because both of these two teams will be going full out to try and get the win. Racing especially, because they're in a less better position, just looking below them with the teams who are just banging at the door saying we want to play top 6 playoff rugby in the top 14.
Well, they've got a lot of ammunition, Racing, and we saw it there. They've got most of their resources starting the game, and it's been a while since really they had all these players available at the same time. They've got a lot of experience in Fiku and Chavancy in the midfield, which will help, having Lebai, who's no slouch of a player, but perhaps not the big game experience yet of Le Garec. So they've got the midfielders to help them out, because they're up against a couple of canny operators in 9 and 10 across with La Rochelle, Kerbalo and Astori. So also La Rochelle on the bench maybe look a little bit stronger, particularly when you've got the likes of Donti to come on, Ehio West when the game maybe breaks up with a little bit of fatigue. They've got some big trump cards to call on there on the bench.
These are the moments ahead of a very important clash. We're not yet into the playoffs, but you get the feeling that there's tension in the air. These two teams, La Rochelle missing out, on the European success that they've just lent on so long for the last couple of years. Now they find themselves, just looking at the Brennis, but Brennis that they've never won. They've never managed to lift that Brennis at the Stade de France or Marseille this year. It's something that now they've shifted their focus to. They don't have, the tag of being the European giants that they were. That's a different story now, because that's down in the Garonne with Toulouse. La Rochelle need to deliver. Racing will want to go into this, and they know that with Stuart Lancaster, they've hit a couple of walls throughout the season. They were the autumn leaders going over the Christmas period and into the new year, and then all of a sudden, it's like you mentioned, the dip in form. So there's a lot at stake here, and both teams really want to get the win.
Yeah, there's always time to regain some momentum. I've seen that with La Rochelle. If you'd listened to me 5-6 weeks ago, I thought their bubble might have been popped just from that European loss in the quarterfinals there, and then they hadn't been convincing as they slowly got back into it, but gee, they have been good in the last couple of weeks. Racing, like I say, there is still time. The good thing for La Rochelle is, if they win this one, and if they do happen to get into that home position for the playoffs next week, they can really carry some momentum into those last two games, the semi and final, which is, anything can sort of happen, especially when you're playing with confidence. So really the challenge is in front of Racing tonight. So it'll be interesting to see how Rochelle approaches this game, whether they do try and play the ball right from the start, which gives Racing the opportunity to look for mistakes to get into the game, or does La Rochelle play the game of territory? I suspect it'll be the latter for the first 20 minutes, with Astor just putting the ball in behind to stop that fast Racing defence coming up.
There's a moment of silence here for that terrible accident, a car accident that knocked over numerous children who were out in the city with one of the youngsters losing their lives. Very tragic incident that happened just last week. Let's take a moment to think about them and their families.
Merci à tous.
Now it's time to get down to action. It's Stade Rochelais, round 26, the final round of the top 14. They come up against Racing 92, 5th against 6th. And the referee today, Viviane Praderie, who will be in charge of today's encounter. Here we go then, and La Rochelle kicking the ball high. Taken well by Gibert. Racing in possession. Here is that man, Clovis Labai. Former Palois, who's now starting his start for the Racing men of Stuart Lancaster. Big clearance. And he's got a lot of responsibility replacing Nolan Le Garec, who is now a French international, but an awful injury against Auxerre that saw him just see the end of his season. Lovely off ball there to the ever-dangerous Silalatu. Astoy sends a big high ball up into the air, just on the edge of the 22. No one really chasing. Labai responds with one of his own. Let's see how that's delivered. Oh, it's just kept in play. Well played by Tristan Tedder. And Astoy doing the business. Brice Doulan. Picked up by Tuisova. Tuisova, of course, he's going to charge into Dylan Leds, who does well. Goes very low with the tackle. Racing. And the charge coming from Will Rowlands. Gibert. Perfectly taken there by Astoy. Needs a little bit of support. Kerbarlow digs for it. Remy Piquet, one of the players on the field, playing alongside Will Skelton. A couple of big boys on the field today with Skelton and Antonio. Good to see these players coming back into the fold. Tedder's got a lovely little mazy run about him. Another charge this time coming from Rowlands. Inside pass, a sneaky little inside pass to Camishat. Labai, Rowlands, Gibert getting the ball out. Nicely done, Chavancy. Opportunity here for the big man, Jordan Joseph, formerly of Sarcelles Massy. Northern Paris. Cameron Waukee, former UBB player. The ball's still alive. That's good work at the breakdown. Look at that. And Greg Aldred makes the first turnover. Just waiting before going straight in and getting his hands on the ball. And Viviane Praderie just calling the penalty against Racing.
An interesting series of exchanges early on, and La Rochelle really looked good at the start. The beautiful tip-on from Winnie Antonio. I thought, oh, gee, it's going to be one-way traffic for a while, but Racing, when they got their hands back on the ball, they've looked pretty good as well, and I think the defence in particular has been coming up hard and fast and accurate, and so I'm sure it helps with, you know, Khaleesi and Nyakane back in the forward pack together, 2 World Cup winners, not just their own contribution, but how they lift the standards of the players around them. Saying that, La Rochelle in good attacking position already.
And the ever-dangerous Silalatu with the line out, nicely taken there. That's a brilliant take coming from Oscar Jegu. They go forward. The La Rochelle fans getting behind the privateers, but good defensive play. Well, it does come out finally. And a chance for them to make inroads here with Latu once again. The former Stade Francais player, played 54 games for the men in pink. Kerbalo gets the ball out. Favre, this is nicely done. That is very sneaky play there from Hastoy. And how about that for a score? Scooped up, taken beautifully there by Dylan Leds. And that is La Rochelle. And top draw attacking play there from the Privateers, who take first blood within the first 5 minutes. The kick was sublime and the pickup was top quality.
Oh, wow, what a try to start the account for La Rochelle tonight. Great skill from Dylan Lates at the end. There was someone slipped over there. Yeah, it was Tuisova slipped over for Racing. And Dylan Lates accelerating onto the ball, picking that up low down, under pressure from the covering defence from Lurbai. And over he goes, and isn't he happy about it?
Well, absolutely soaring high is Dylan Leds. That's his 5th try this season, and it comes at a very important time. You know, it's a good way to just calm the fans and get them behind you with a little explosive attacking piece of quality rugby from Leds, but also triggered from this man here.
Yes, when he first kicked that, I thought, no, that's not the option. But Lates, he was superb, and I think he expected to be barreled into touch as well. And so maybe at the end he was a little bit surprised with the ease with which he scored.
That looks like it's a perfectly executed conversion. The flags go up Hastoy, and it's a 7-point lead, and the ideal start here for La Rochelle.
Watch Tuisova here. He comes in and slips over there. You saw him in the background. Hastoy was going to throw that ball until he saw the slip. And at that point, he realised there's a bit more space. The defender on the outside, or the attacker on the outside, was taken out. He threaded the kick through, and Dylan Lates, lethal.
We'll keep you updated with everything that's happening right across the top 14. And Toulouse have already got a try against Lyon. 7 points to 0, and Union Bordeaux-Bègles, well, they've also got a try to go 7 points up, charge down there. So there's so much going on, and we'll keep you completely in the mix. Stade Rochelais and Leicester Etienne are getting a try for the Parisians, who of course are tussling with Toulon to find out who will get that 2nd place in the at the top of the table. That's an interesting battle as well.
Yes, it is. Toulon already having clinched at least a home match next week. They may sit it out, of course, if they get 2nd, if they beat Stade Francais. There's the charge down from Cameron Waukee. Just a bit of a shame, really. He wants to put pressure on, but just giving away that easy exit with the penalty now. La Rochelle's just scored. They were under pressure deep in their own half, just pushing it a little bit too much, Waukee. And now, as you see, La Rochelle back on attack.
Latu, oh, it goes right over the top, picked up by Cammy Shah. He's so good in the contact area, deals with Kerbalo, and then motors around the outside. Driven back, though, by the La Rochelle defence, just in their own half. Oh, spillage there from Rollins. Very frustrating, that is. It's not the ideal scenario.
Part of this comes down to, there's the final knock-on, but they were getting it pretty static, Racing. And I think it comes down to the Will Skelton tackle, when he really muscled up there and he stopped that forward movement from Racing. He twisted it around, and at that point, rather than running onto front foot ball, the next phase for Racing, they were static. They knew that the La Rochelle defence was set up, and there's that little bit more pressure just to catch the ball cleanly, and they weren't able to do that.
Chris Toulon, of course, former Racing man. Played for 7 seasons, in fact, for Racing before he decided to go up and play for La Rochelle. Will Rollins be very disappointed with that spillage? That's not part of his skill set, dropping the ball like that. Such an impact player in the rucks, in the loose, of course. And
interesting call here. Do you try and twist the knife this early in the game, or you just keep accumulating points? Trevor Nyakane doesn't seem too worried about giving away the penalty. Maybe feels he's felt something in that scrum that gives him a bit of a shot, gives him a glimmer of hope for the next few scrums. Or it's just banter between the front rowers, maybe.
Well, he's met his match, hasn't he, with Hassan Collingar. That's a wonderful little battle taking place. Trevor Nyakane up against Winnie Antonio, sorry. And that's one almighty battle there. You got Reda Wadi, of course, as well, and Hassan Collingar linking up in the Racing front row. In fact, there's some real hard players in that front row from both sides, basically.
It's like an international, isn't it? Really is.
He's pulled it. Yeah, the sound didn't. Yeah, I didn't like the sound. You could have closed your eyes and said, "Yeah, he didn't hit it right," just from the sound. But won't be happy with that. Of course, all of these points matter. And Hastoy, well, he's a meticulous kicker, and that's very frustrating for him. Gibous, as he's called, Gibert, perfectly taken by Jeku. Nicely done. Here's Hastoy, goes deep this time. Picks up an opportunity. Souteni gets the hand into the path of that man, the ever dangerous Cancorier.
15 sortez. Ici.
Well, it's a turnover ball. That's really well done, isn't it? Jordan Joseph doing the business.
C'est ballon rentré. C'est ballon rentré. Il est lié, monsieur.
And a little bit of a scenario that's not favourable for down in the Catalan region of southwest France, because Pau have just scored down at the Stade Amo. Playing, of course, in the foothills of the Pyrenees. Penalty for Racing. Great work. So when you look at what they do, Will Rowland's getting himself back into that good position and just making it very complicated. Wadi keeping his hands on the ball.
Yeah, quick reactions there to see that the ball was vulnerable. They were just a little bit slow on that clean out La Rochelle. So a lot of the modern rugby is around that decision-making process. Not to go chasing lost causes, but to really make it count when you do have a go at the ball. Long range shot here being called by Racing.
That's a big one, isn't it?
It's quite a good response. It was, oh, that's so close to a proper break from Dylan Lates. Almost too successful in that he got too far forward and a little bit away from his. Now look at Cancorier. He'd been backtracking there because the pass, they weren't expecting the pass out wide, but work off the ball. He got back so he could get into that position there and take the pass and support. Unfortunately, it fell apart after that, but good work off the ball. Something you always stress to young rugby players. Don't just stand there as a passenger.
Yeah, follow and just read the, and understand who you're playing alongside. Well, Tedder, he's 134 points, and it looks like it's going to become 137. The flag's gone. That's a massive monster kick that is from the South African-born fullback.
Comfortable, wasn't it? Really good strike. Never looked like deviating.
Max Spring, one of the players, of course, on the bench today for Racing. They've got Christian Wade, Juan Imhoff. Juan Imhoff, of course, in his last season, just like Henry Chavancy. It's going to be an important end of the year for Racing, but only if they manage to make the playoffs. Picks up here again. That's excellent. Cancorier. Antonio. Good tackle there from Gail Ficku. Had to time it right. Did it perfectly. Ball comes out. And Aldrit takes it forward, taking the pass from Oscar Jeku. Kerbalu. Antonio again. 140 kilos of muscle. Piquet this time. Kerbalu, where are they going to go? Is Hastoy. Oh, he just couldn't get his hands on the ball there, Jack Noel. Otherwise, he would have carried that forward. It's a good chance for Racing to clear their lines with this scrub following that knock-on.
Well, what a sight off the kickoff. The three big boys going past the ball, picking up the crumbs when it didn't get controlled by Racing. The offload Cancorier to Antonio, and Antonio back on the inside. Here is it. It is here as they're swarming through. This time Cancorier controlling possession, and Antonio with the ball and in space. That's a sight. Not for the fullback.
He's a wonderful player, isn't he, Cancorier? When you actually look at what he does, around the ballpark, it's not just the fact that he's you know, a great ball carrier, and he tries to get the pass in at the end, but it's his tackle rate, it's what he does in the line out, it's what he does in the scrum. He does a lot of dirty work. And, you know, when you look at the 4 caps that he's picked up, you think, well, maybe he deserves a little bit more from, you know, playing on the international stage.
He's up against a fair bit of competition.
In that position, most definitely. Especially at the moment with the Toulouse boys knocking on the door. Whistle's been blown.
Antonio just getting some clarification there. He's been told he was kind of pulling that down on his side, on the tight head side for La Rochelle. Yeah, Cancoria in full flight's also a sight to behold, isn't he? He's got such a long stride, but then also he can carry into the contact direct, but he's got a lot of speed. So as soon as you plant, as we see the Racing scrum holding firm over that far side there, you see they've been buckled in. I don't think Antonio's not so sure. They never are. They're never going to concede that the referee was correct with the call.
Well, it's like Niakane, isn't it? You know, they've always got that, like, sort of, you know, big broad smile when they've come out of there. Yeah, okay. But when we're trying to decipher what actually happened, we got no idea.
It's a game within a game. I doubt anything's above board there.
Is Labai getting the ball out? An opportunity here. Tedder with the pass as well, coming into the line. Jordan Joseph getting caught up. Labai goes deep this time, and there's the kick there from Tedder. It's a cross kick down into the corner, easily picked up by that man Leds.
Yeah, it was a structure designed to go for the 50-20, wasn't it? So the 50-22. So they went to the left to try and drag that man there, Dylan Lates, across to the left, and then brought it back to try and hit into that space, down into the 22. Lates well and truly up to the task.
Sometimes you just got to take the sting out of your opponent's, you know, phase of play where they've got a little bit of possession and they're feeling confident. You make that mark and you just stop the game. Everybody resets and it just gives them a few seconds just to, you know, reposition. As we see Ronan O'Gara and his staff there, of course, trying to get everything right, watching the videos, understanding exactly what kind of adjustments need to be made. There's the line out, Waukee, Imperious once again. Clovis Labai, nice little pass there as they go down the line. But Tuisova unable to get things moving. Here's Kolisi, nice little carry there from the South African captain of the Springboks, who won the last Rugby World Cup back in October last year. Kamishat told to get back in position. This is for Gibus. Diallo this time. Oh, spillage there from Gail Fiku. Very frustrating there. It wasn't a great pass, but you still got to make sure that you make it safe.
Yeah, frustrating for Racing. I think La Rochelle's getting away with a little bit at the breakdown there. I think at one point Will Skelton was on his knees. There he is there. He got a little ankle tap in on Labai, the halfback, which I think if you examined it closely, it'd be a penalty Racing. So just things going a little bit, the rub of the green going a little bit the way of the home team at the moment.
Oh, we've got a second try against Perpignan, which will make it very complicated for them to try and, you know, sneak into the top 6. Sogbe is the player who managed to race over the line. That's 12 points to 0, potentially 14.
Yeah, Poe's a tough team to play at home. And they'll want to sign off the season well. I mean, every team does, of course, but particularly Poe. They were really looking like they were in the running early on in the season. While the World Cup was on, or there was that pause, they were right up the top of the table and probably had designs on the playoffs.
Sam Whitelock playing his final game, of course, so that will be a momentous occasion before he heads back to New Zealand at the end of summer. Opportunity. La Rochelle, Suteni, oh, Leds unable to get the pass, but will go back. And there's no advantage for La Rochelle.
Capitaine.
Messi again at scrum time.
Capitaine.
Pretty savvy international front rowers there, and just trying it on, as they're going to do, particularly at the start of the game.
Pénalité contre vous, une pénalité contre vous. D'accord? Là, ici, votre droitier est complètement en travers dès l'impact. Donc, du coup, je reviens sur l'avantage. Avec plus de comportement positif, on travaille intelligemment, s'il vous plaît. Merci, monsieur. Oui, ah bon?
He's just asking them to be a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more well-behaved at scrum time, a little bit more intelligent. He's saying that Racing came straight away in on the tight head side. They buckled in straight away from the right. And he's given a penalty against each team now in the scrum. And it's just time for the captains to sort it out. What Henri Chavancy is going to say to his scrum, I don't know, but I'd like to hear it.
Definitely. What a wonderful player and a wonderful man he is, Henri Chavancy, 36 years of age. He's played 369 games, including this one today, 4 as a professional rugby player, which is just outrageously good, isn't it? What a servant for Racing, and only Racing. Bayonne have gone 7-0 up against Castres Olympique as well, another team who are looking to try and get themselves in the top 6. Aldrit going on a massive charge. This is great stuff from La Rochelle, and well...
Oh, he's got Ficou.
No.
He's got to roll out of there. And Chavancy is going to be, we just talked about him. And needs to roll out of there, didn't roll out of there, and of course picks up by Monsieur Praderie.
Well, I thought Ficou was more at fault there. I thought that was pretty close to being very clever from Gaël Ficou, because as he fell, he got his torso and his legs right in Tawera Kerbalo's line where he wants to be getting in, clearing that quick ball. Would have been interesting to see advantage played, to be fair, because if that had come back, it would have been very interesting. Great run from Aldrit. He doesn't give the ball, which I think they would have planned to give that ball on out to Favre. And it wasn't sure. I thought it was Ficou on the right there. Chavancy, you probably get both of them.
I think he was holding him when he went down, and that's the reason. So look where Chavancy is. Okay, well, the ball comes out.
Oh, well, that's why there wasn't advantage played for La Rochelle, of course. But
I think maybe he might have got in the way of the ball and put his hand where he shouldn't have. And anyway, trying to flick the ball to his teammates. In any case, he's made his mind up. They've got one player less, and you know, then now it's up to La Rochelle to try and hit hard as they lead Racing 7-3, and advantage for Ronan O'Gara's men. Oh, that's a good scrum. That is an Aldrit, and it's going to be picked up. Kerbalo, oh, lovely. Throws the dummy, cuts inside. And how about that? Back from injury. Hasn't played since April, but Tawera Kerbalo sneaking in just like a perfect, snazzy-footed number 9. And they take their lead up to 12-3 now.
Well, the phrase silk purse from a sow's ear comes to mind immediately. Pretty messy at the back of that scrum. The ball popped out. And the good thing about this dummy from Tawera Kerbalo, he didn't plan it. He was looking to give the ball, and it was only at the last moment he realised the opportunity, held on to it. So the motion of passing looked absolutely realistic. Defence ran off. Henri Chavancy, he's not happy. You said it, 369 games. I doubt there have been any deliberate, cynical fouls in that from Chavancy. He's tough, he's hard, mentally and physically, as we see the extra points go through. And he is fair, just a bit unlucky in that penalty. Can see why it got given, but anyway, he's regretting that even more now. I don't know what else he could have done about it, but La Rochelle quick to profit from the extra man.
So Hastoy adding the extras there, of course, and a pretty decent scenario this is for La Rochelle, a good start. And La Rochelle, 5th position, 66 points. Racing, 5th position, 66. Racing is 6th with 61. Poa, 60. And of course, which means that, well, the scenario not looking that good, of course. Poa in a position where they can't just sneak in. But they were in a very good position before, but the scenarios and the tables have turned in a big way.
Ouais, mais une touche rapide doit être rapide, monsieur.
And Union Bordeaux-Bègles scoring another try against Oyonnax. And moving up to 12 points to 0. With 22 minutes gone at Chabannes-Delmas. But here 14-3. Roland's off the top. Clovis Labai just avoiding Cancorier. It's a player you don't want to get caught up, and finally comes back to haunt him again. Thrown down like a rag doll.
Jouez-le.
The kick spirals up in the air. No distance. Oh, comes off the head. Look at that. That's nicely done by Joseph. Is there anybody there to pick it up? That's a well won by the big number 8. Rollins picks it up. Doesn't go down quickly. Change of sides with Jordan Joseph once again. Clovis Labai, Cameron Waukee. Quite happy just going around the fringes, using the forwards at the moment before they decide to get it out wide. The Gibus now making the call, but there aren't options. Gael Fickou, he likes the broken play, but just gets snagged on that occasion in traffic as a penalty. And I think it's Redawadi who's been pinged for an offside position.
A good aggressive defence from La Rochelle. Ended up being penalised for it, but up till then they'd really stopped rushing in the tracks, and rushing every phase. They were getting the ball static, having to generate some acceleration, generate some forward momentum, and just kept coming up against that yellow and black wall. So they'll be quite happy to take these 3 points. Just stay relatively close to La Rochelle at the moment. There's where La Rochelle did not release the ball, or did not release the tackle player, sorry.
Pau have now scored a third try and up to 19 points to 0 against the Catalans of Perpignan.
Haven't they had a great season, though, regardless of this result today? Perpignan in the firing line for relegation early in the season, and they have just gone on an absolute campaign since Christmas and playing some good footy, really getting their people in behind them and being very, very close to going to playoffs.
There's something about, you know, they're called the blood and golds, and you understand that they've got, like, you know, they've got fire in their bellies, and they most definitely have, you know, they're hot-blooded down there, and they really do fight, and they fight hard. It's wonderful to see. You know, Perpignan, of course, last time they managed to win the top 14, Dan Carter was the man who was in the team. He didn't play the final, of course, it was against Clermont. We were actually there.
He'd had his Achilles injury, but stayed on at Perpignan and proved to be reasonably inspiring behind the scenes, of course.
Yeah. 25 minutes in, 14-6.
And he played with Racing. Did he win the title with Racing? Must have.
Yeah, absolutely, 2016. High ball over the top. Brice Dulin up against his former team. Does really well. Carballo. Piquet. Former Van player, of course. Van, top 14 team next season. The first ever team from Brittany to play in the top 14. The 26th team to take part in to play in the top 14. And Van in northwest France will now become the 13th team as we wait to find out who will win the access match. That's next weekend, of course, on Sunday. And that pits together Grenoble and Montpellier to find out if Montpellier stay up or if they go down, and if Grenoble return to the top 14 once again. But the scenes in Brittany today following victory over Grenoble in a gritty game where the mountain men from the Alps couldn't get over the try line, losing a couple of possessions, tries that should have been scored, but maybe players being a little bit selfish and not passing the ball at the key moments. But in any case, Van are the champions of the Pro D2. It's a good driving maul, this is, and it's been resulted in a penalty for La Rochelle. Monsieur Pradery finally blowing the whistle. Still got one player in the
Yes, the Racing captain. That's why his midfield partner becomes the captain. Standard message, isn't it? Too many penalties.
Ouais, mais on est loin de la ligne. Elle est moins grossière que celle-là, 5 mètres quand même. 4. Attendez.
Hastoy's going to stick it in the stands, and then afterwards they go again. A line out, just using the big boys, of course. He's a good player, isn't he, Oscar Jeku? 21 years of age. Piquet this time, unable to pick it up. Well, it's back in the hands of the Racing man with Gilbert.
Presque. Jouez-le.
Possession quite well balanced. As you saw on your screens, there's the clearance kick, and it's Leds who will take a quick one. Brice Dulin, what options has he got? Well, it finds a little bit of space as a mismatch. Does really well to try and get between the big boys. Oh, and a bit of spillage there by Antonio. They can play this if they want. Gibus. Just slowed down there by Favre, and there's the kick. Lots of time for Clovis Labai. He doesn't get his distance. I think he was a little bit spooked by the defenders coming up, as we see the players who are Teddy Thoma there and Teddy Iribiren, amongst others.
Yeah, a bit of a wasted opportunity for La Rochelle. They get another chance now, a bit further out though. They won that kicking duel at the end.
Pierre Bougarit, French international player, of course, still suffering from that shoulder injury against Leicester, which is keeping him sidelined. It's been very frustrating for him as we see Souteni getting the ball out. This is nicely done. Brice Dulin getting the ball out to Jack Noel. Well, he gets caught up, hits the deck. Carballo picks it up. Hastoy, nearly a bit of butterfingers there by that man, Aldrit. Finally getting the ball out. Hastoy, nice work, threading the ball through. Will Skelton takes it forward, of course. He's not going to pass it always outside of him, because he can take down 3 or 4 defenders. Hastoy, a chance this is for Racing. Can play that, says Monsieur Pradery. But the fact there was a little bit of a knock-on.
13 of them.
A chance here for Habosi. Fiku tries to sell the dummy, not bought. That's a great kick, 50-22. How about that? That is beautiful, just through the window as well, and Henry Chavancy coming on at the perfect time.
Well, they've only conceded the 1 try. They could have conceded quite a few more points without Chavancy on the field, so Racing and Henri Chavancy, of course, will be happy, particularly now. Back to a full complement. Hot on attack with a great 50-20.
Yeah, that's Antoine Gibert, wonderful player. 148th appearance for Racing, originally from Boulogne-Billancourt, just south of Paris. Well, we got into the last 10 minutes, so we go. Chavancy comes back on. And Aldrit getting some treatment on his finger, it looks like. Kamisha, Waki unable to get to it. That's great work from Kankoria. Look what he does. Disruption in the line-out and a wonderful clearance kick up into enemy territory.
What a reaction from La Rochelle. Atonio suddenly gets it. He wouldn't expect to get that ball at that place. Just casually, nonchalantly even, throws it off to Carballo, who just takes his time as well and casually puts the ball out. 6 metres into Racing half. There it is. There we go. Yours. And off it goes. The neck on that Camille Sharp.
Yeah, no, there's no neck.
Yeah.
Well, I think, was it Khaleesi who said he's the player with no neck? And the mark has been made. Again, you can just see what they're doing here. Just taking the sting out of every play, just preventing them from doing what they want to do, you know, and kicking up a stink, you know, defense when they're on their defensive phase. Bordeaux up to 19 points to 7.
This man needs to get the ball. It's easy to say, isn't it, sitting here in comfort, but Vinaya Ambossi, labelled the boss man by our old mate Sean Maloney as soon as he came ripping shreds out of defence through defences in the Super Rugby. Some real blockbusting Fijian wingers that Racing can call on. Unfortunately, haven't seen much of them in the first half.
Well, they need to get ball first of all, and they need to get space. I think that, you know, it's a Fijian player when he's got a bit of space and he's able to just look up and look and seek out those spots, and his running lines is a different player from the one who's being marked really tightly, who doesn't get a good pass or any pass. 7 minutes to the end of the first half. Skelton just with a big physical hit there, and look at the work there once again. Can Courier, ever since he joined from Clermont, has been outstanding. We talked about, you know, how impressive he is, but he just does everything on the pitch.
Once again, they've picked the wrong guy to run into there in Will Skelton. He's made a couple of really significant hits where he just wraps up the player, stops the forward momentum completely, and then puts pressure on by dragging them backwards. And in the fight there to get that little bit of extra go forward, Racing just got themselves isolated. The ball was vulnerable and La Rochelle pounced. There it is. You see, it's on Sharp. And he just put plenty of physical pressure on there, Will Skelton. You've got 3 guys going in already. It's a bit messy. And there's the ball being attacked by Concourier.
He definitely didn't grab him by the neck.
Oh, he hasn't got arms long enough to get round it.
Penalties conceded, 3-8. Racing, well, they're just they're suffering from their own inability to remain disciplined. Waukee got his hands on that. That's going to be, surely, that's not going to come out. That's going to be a scrum for Racing. Great work by Waukee. What Waukee did there was absolutely fantastic, because he just managed to stay in, you know, that in that maul, but his hands stayed directly on the ball and on the player, and he managed to turn it over. That's fantastic.
Yes, La Rochelle to win that ball in the line out. It looked like they actually went past the line of the line out, and Waukee was able to stand there right in the middle, wrap up the ball from the La Rochelle side legally. Well, it wasn't coming out.
Yeah, so you got the basketball champions, of course, from France with La Rochelle. They celebrated winning the 2nd division, which is a fantastic feat, of course. That's why they're still celebrating and enjoying the jaw juice. Here we go, big charge here from Jules Favre. Wonderful centre. Oh, that's been pulled out legally, according to Monsieur Praderie. There's a big charge here. Well, you talked about Abosi being an important player. There he is, getting himself very much involved. Another Fijian, not too much space, but Tuisova, the bus, from the boss to the bus. Big kick over the top, giving the ball away. Great take, look at that from Tuisova. This is much better, and a chance here, and a good run, good inline running there from that man, Jordan Joseph. Opportunity for Racing. If they want to get back into this, now is the time. Cammy Shat, well, spillage, Water picks it up, hoofed upfield now, Jack Knowles chasing this, Tedder's trying to get back into position, and that's going to go out of play, or is it? Picked up there by Tedder. Well, he's not going to get past that man, Noel. He's like a savage dog when he gets hold of his man.
Yeah, tough situation there for Tedder. Came from the turnover, no one back for Racing, as you'd expect, and a well-placed kick. Only thing maybe he could have done is the ball being coughed up by Camille Chart. And again, La Rochelle very efficient with their coming out, and maybe just a little bit more infield. He could have looked to have angled Tristan Tedder.
Yeah, but Jack Noel, he's beaten 83 defenders, you know, this season. Just to give you an idea, that one-on-one scenario is not looking good the moment that he faces Jack Noel. So there wasn't really that much to do. Getting the ball out, probably a good option. It's a little bit forward there from Latu, but referee says continue. Carvalho, charge from Jegu, smashed back by the Racing big men. Carvalho once again. Oh, Suteni. It went backwards, not a problem, but it is a turnover ball. That's a knock on there from Khaleesi. Couldn't just take the flick between the legs, and well, there it is. It's going to be a scrum, but it will be from the first knock on.
A little bit ambitious there from Racing, trying to flick that back, but a good initial move from La Rochelle, but equally the defence from Racing has been willing, both defences tonight. And as a result, you see players starting to look up, and that's what Seuteni did. Just before he got the ball in control, he had a look at that defence. And when you've got these ferocious defences coming up, so easy to take your eyes off the ball, and that's all it needs sometimes.
Just saw Pierre Bougarit next to Romain Sazi, the very influential captain of La Rochelle up until last season, retired after being part of this La Rochelle team that came all the way up from the Pro D2. Still searching for the France's Rugby Holy Grail, which is, of course, the British Shield. Never managed to win it. Lost out last year to that Romain Tamac try. Absolutely incredible scenario. 76th minute in the lead. Been bossing that final at the Stade de France, then all of a sudden Romain Tamac suddenly breaks free and goes on one of those wonderful wonders that he loves to do, jaunting off and racing over to score a fabulous try and offer Toulouse yet another French top 14 title. Jegu, well, there's comes off Wadi. Just gets in the way there. It's going to be a scrum. This is for Racing.
Just
a little bit of pressure at times on both teams. I talked about the defence, but it really has been robust. I think also there's a little bit of slipperiness on the ball, partly sweat, which is even worse than water because, you know, it's oily and it sticks to the ball.
It's the grease, isn't it?
Clings.
La Rochelle won each of the last 6 home games against Racing in the top 14. Before that, they lost. There were 2 losses, 2 draws, but the last time that they actually lost against Racing here was 2016.
Just the one loss at home all year, isn't it? That was way back in October, and since then that was against Cache. So since then they've beaten all the big teams coming to La Rochelle, Toulouse, Stade Rochelais, etc.
Some of them a little bit, you know, unstable in terms of really laying down their authority, but still, that's behind them now. They're in the top 6 and they're looking pretty slick at the moment. And there's the half-time siren that signals the end of the first half. And La Rochelle, well, just doing enough and just finding tries and getting themselves over that line. It's 14 points to 6. Racing with a mountain to climb here in hostile territory on the west coast of France. La Rochelle in command. We'll get a reaction from both sides in a moment.
Jules, vous êtes plutôt bien dans ce match. Hein. Il y a des intentions, quelques imprécisions et du coup,
Jules
vous êtes pas
Favre.
encore à l'abri là.
Ouais, c'est ça, 14-6 à la mi-temps.
Yeah,
On a
14-6.
beaucoup d'intentions, on essaie
Yeah,
de
we
beaucoup
gotta
jouer. Le ballon,
be
il
very
glisse un peu.
careful.
C'est un peu compliqué de
It's a bit
contrôler,
complicated
mais,
to
falloir qu'on règle un peu ces détails
play
pour
the
la seconde
ball. We're
mi-temps, passer
making
devant et vraiment,
a few errors.
accroître notre avance, quoi.
Merci Jules.
So we need to get stuck into the second half. And we'll get a reaction from Cameron Walkie now.
Cameron, il y a beaucoup de fautes, des imprécisions, vous êtes pas mal pénalisé.
Lacking
et
precision,
vous êtes encore dans le match,
lot
le score,
penalised a
il faut
lot.
régler quoi?
What have you got to do?
C'est-à-dire qu'on s'en sort bien.
We need to
On met beaucoup d'intensité.
14-6. We're, it's not too bad.
Parce qu'on a vraiment envie de
Making a lot of errors.
voilà, rentrer dans ce match
We really want to get into this game.
dès l'entame. Donc voilà, il va juste falloir faire attention à la discipline.
We just got to be
Essayer d'être sur le
disciplined.
match et
We've got to be careful.
dès le coup d'envoi de la seconde mi-temps,
And
essayer
right
de
from
marquer
the whistle,
premier, voilà, pour
start the
rester
second
collé,
half, we got to
au
play.
score et espérer gagner.
We need to get ahead and score tries and try and win this game.
Really good, potentially international players who have still got a lot to offer, young up and coming players who are of international quality. So the catchment really is quite large, and it's a fantastic competition. Plus, they don't go head to head in terms of television with the top 14. Pro D2 playing on a Thursday, Friday night. Top 14 kicks in Saturday with that graveyard shift on the Sunday night. Always a good game as well. Really has been well thought of, well thought out, and well structured.
Racing currently sitting in the 6th position and into the playoffs if they stay where they are, thanks to other results predominantly. And a chance there for Doolan to clear his lines into the hands of Tristan Tedder. 4 tries this season, and a very important player. Good defensive hit there to take out his opposite number, Brice Doolan. Kerbarlo and Hastoy, bit of time, bit of space, drills it down, just comes out of the hands of Herbosi. Good tackle there coming in from Jules Favre. Love the way that he hits his players. He really is, rarely makes mistakes when he's tackling. The South African connection of Niakane Kolisi getting involved there.
Jouez-le!
Paris currently 17-3 up against Toulon. Stade Francais into the semi-finals directly if it stays like this. Toulon with a home barrage or playoff next weekend. Charge there for Antonio. Kerbarlo.
No.
Over the top it goes. Excellent take, really solid take there from Souteni. But look at the counter rucking, brilliantly done. And Kolisi coming in from the side. And he's been fallen onto Vivian Pradery's radar.
Fantastic take from Sioteni. We didn't see too many high balls taken by the kicking team in the first half. They were generally pretty well diffused, but the distance on that kick was perfect. Sioteni's timing into the air also perfect, and his commitment to it. So bonus possession for La Rochelle in the Racing half. We'll get this down to maybe 10 metres. You don't want to try and bite off too much there. There's the take, and gets the ball back. Racing, they might be asking themselves what they got penalised for there. Seemed like a pretty good go. Maybe just at the end coming round the side from an offside position.
It's Souteni with a height advantage over Labai, of course, enabling him to get up well. That's Jeku getting the line out back into the hands of Latu. Here he is at the back of this driving maul. Racing players coming in and into the position. It's been collapsed. Is that coming out? No, it isn't. It's going to be Racing who get the scrum and the put in. Good work, that is.
I think it was Big Will Rowlands in there. And he managed to find himself, as they wheeled it around, because Jegu, who took the ball in the line out, was caught up high in the maul. So he didn't have his feet on the ground. So naturally, La Rochelle tried to wheel it around, and so they can get all 8 players pushing together. And as it wheeled around, they just managed to drag Rollins into a position where he could wrap that ball up as the party goes on for the basketball crew in La Rochelle.
Yeah, playing in the Pro B, of course, the second division. And Stade Rochelais basket. Crown champions just earlier this week.
Flexion.
And it's where this rugby team was up to 10 or 12 years ago, wasn't it? They were always at the top of Pro D2, but finally broke out of it.
Yeah, and Antonio was part of the team. Sazi as well. These players who have been around for a long time. Racing. They'll be happy to get rid of this ASAP.
No. No.
Clovis Labai. They all want to go in. And the call from Monsieur Pradery, stay back, boys. You can't go for it.
It's not a bad exercise, really, from the defensive team there to send a couple of snipers through. You know, the referee gives them the warning, but it's in the back of Labai's mind. I've got guys ready to pounce here if I don't get this right. And as a result, he can't really try to bite off too much territory with his kick. And see there, they've ended up only 8 or so metres outside the 22.
Yeah, but he's also just been taken out by a big guy, Sutani. So, I mean, you know, he knows that he wants to avoid as much contact as possible because he's the only natural number 9 that they've actually got on the pitch. And that will be important for them to know. They've got Max Spring, who can come in and cover that role, of course. Aldrit hauled back. The Racing men coming to defend, coming up quickly. Wada goes back in, nearly bumps into Aldrit, who just swerves out of the way. Hastroy, big kick. Favre's going up for it. It's inside of the 22. Well, he gets a little bit of a touch. Chamoncy does well. Look at that for a kick. Oh, well, straight into the hands of that man, Hastroy. An opportunity here. Brice Doulan looking for a mismatch. Good tackle from Diallo, does really well. This is Jegu. Jegu to Hastroy. Piquet running out of space there. And a good tackle from Tuisova.
He did well there. Not just the tackle, Joshua Tuisova, but just shadowing those players there because they had an overlap. Almost through Brice Doulan here. He looks so almost innocuous, but then he inevitably finds a bit of a half gap. Here are the 2 defenders against 3. They did pretty well, but Tuisova up to the task in 2 or 3 metres of space. Gets across. And if he gets a shoulder on, you're not going to make much more go forward. Couldn't do a lot with that ball, though, to be fair.
Bit of contact in the air on Cameron Waukee, I thought, from Will Skelton.
Non mais là, pourquoi il saute sur vous? C'est parce que le lancer est complètement dans votre camp. Donc,
But it wasn't straight. Just look at this. Cammy Shat doesn't get it straight. But look, you can see that there's a bit of contact. Well, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. They've just got to get it right.
I almost thought you'd called a penalty there when he said it was almost completely in the opposition in your own side. I thought he was talking about the La Rochelle jumpers. They'd basically thrown him across, as you say, almost obstructing in there. It's quite early for Antonio to be coming off.
Well, listen, you know, Weenie Antonio, he's absolutely adored here. You know, the big man who's got more than 50 caps playing for France, and his input in this La Rochelle team has been absolutely fantastic, but also in the French jersey.
New Zealand born, I'll pour it out.
Born in Auckland.
Done well for the run to the litter.
Listen, he made his move, and look at the career that he's carved out.
Been fantastic.
62 caps finally got. 34 years of age.
lié.
Okay, Barlow, look where they are. They've given the ball away, and La Rochelle happy to take up possession and try and do something on the edge of the 22. Aldrit tries to stay on his feet. That's good swashbuckling tackling there from Khaleesi, of course, who gets in the way every time. Piquet charges, goes over Diallo. Change of sides, Skelton, opportunity. Oh, well, you know what? Gilbert coming up spooked the entire back line.
Yeah, he's probably in two minds there. Was it Astoy that threw that pass there? Skelton gives it to him, but yeah, he saw the danger of Gilbert coming up, but good defence from Racing, and they're putting La Rochelle in the position that they found themselves in the first half, where just static, phase after phase, and having to generate that momentum without getting front foot ball, and it's tough.
Got to get this line out straight, Cammy Shah. Well, it's been flapped and, well, there's an, yeah, got knocked forward. Cammy Shah, 83% success rate with his line out throws, as we see the little bit of a tussle taking place. It's a bit of a pylon, you know, it's like going back to school, you know, it's like, you know, I'm going to jump on you, smile, and
look at this big man in the background, Will Skelton. He's not the guy you want in there, but he was joking, he was laughing in the background. Bit of an opportunity for
I want to play.
a bit of levity. Yeah, he's not allowed to, he's banned.
Well, that was the moment. It was Piquet getting the ball. There's a little knock on there.
Well, the guys didn't hear the whistle, and Taweriko Barlow making a fairly good hit down there as well.
Il y a quelques joueurs qui commencent sans contester, mais à parler beaucoup plus d'arbitrage que de jeu. Donc juste on les reconcentre.
Be conscious of, you know, that there's a few errors that are, you know, just accumulating here, but I know it was finally, there was no nonsense in there, but just be careful and, you know, keep it rugby orientated. You know, it's the call from Monsieur Praderie, because you don't want things to go down the wrong path, and, you know, there's no need. This is, these two teams are in a perfect position. You lose a couple of players, you know, and it's, you know, it's a different game.
I think it seems like he's getting a lot of unsolicited advice from both teams as well. So I'm sure they mean well, you know, trying to help the referee out, but he's got his official assistants and he doesn't need more. Reasonable level of frustration, I think, probably for both teams. You know, neither of them really have taken all their opportunities tonight. They're still locked in a bit of an arm wrestle. So emotions are fairly high, and the intensity's pretty high as well. There have been mistakes as well, which always lead to frustration for both teams.
It's not a flowing game. You know, there's so many. You mentioned it before. There's a lot of sweat. You know, it's 18 degrees, so the ball's a little bit greasy, but it's also, you know, there's lacking that extra bit of detail. It's not meticulous, and that gets in the way of a free-flowing game, of course, you know, whereas both teams, they would love to see, you know, thrill the fans with some fast-flowing, expansive French champagne rugby. It's not the case.
Well, yeah, exactly, and just to have some structure in the match, feel like it's one that they recognise. It's a bit messy.
Pau 21, Perpignan 15. They've got 3 tries all of a sudden, Perpignan, and they're knocking on Pau's door down at the Stade Amo. Just 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes into the second half. Now that's something to, you know, take.
Well, it's something for these coaching teams to worry about, particularly Racing at the moment, 8 points down.
Yep.
Perpignan get a bit of momentum up, which they have at the moment.
No,
We've seen in the last 3 or 4 months what they can do with that momentum and that blood boiling.
Well, remember, Perpignan, if they get 4 tries, they get 5. Even if they get 4 points, they can move above Racing if Racing don't get a single point. So they got to be careful, and that news probably won't be sent through because we're in the second half. So they've got to act.
No.
And they've got to react now. And of course, they'll, if we continue with this rate, they're what, 8 minutes behind, 8 minutes ahead. So they'll have finished their game, not knowing if they've actually qualified. Scenario which is very complicated. Will Skelton with a drive, great work at the breakdown, but no hands on the ball. Oscar Jegu brought down by Will Rowlands, who's constantly hitting players who are carrying the ball. Great tackling from him. But at the moment, well, that's it's paid off on that occasion. slowed down, but holding the ball on the ground is the Australian lock, Skelton.
He's really rolling his sleeves up at the moment, Tawera Kurbalo. He was the guy who came running off Brice Dulin, which is the experience as well. He saw that Dulin wasn't going to take that high ball with any ability to get momentum up and carry it forward, and he came steaming off it, took the carry, and then he was the guy trying to protect Will Skelton, trying to make that a ruck. Here you'll see him coming with this pick and go. Here goes Tawera Kurbalo, tries to get under Waki, just get the contact on. Referee says no ruck formed. Pressure from Racing as well. Like I said in the first half, both teams look more comfortable without the ball at times than with it. Long range here from Tedder after that first strike. I just wonder if this field's a little bit shorter. It just seems that the 10-metre line through to the 22 is short. Tedder struck that first one, almost went out of the stadium.
Yeah, I think it was about 58 metres. That was a massive monster boot, wasn't it? Metronomic. Now, we talked about, there's the Racing kick, hits it firmly. Look at that. That is spot on. Beautifully struck. And they get the 9th points of the game from that man there, Hugo Roos. Wonderful player. Of course, the future of La Rochelle. And Iaia West comes on. And he will replace Hastoy normally. And Jonathan Donty coming on as well. Wonder if he's replacing Jules Favre. Well, no, it's Latu who comes off, so Lespiok will replace him. And lots of things happening. Castor of scrambling back against Bayonne as well. It's 14-9 here at Marcel de Flandre. Just 5 points separating these two teams. There's a lot at stake right across the board. The second half is turning into something quite interesting. And Bayonne just 4 points behind now. They kicked the conversion. Donty on for Souteni. And West on for Dulin. Greg Aldrich. Skelton. Well, the ball goes back, but it gets knocked out of his hands. Diallo putting in a massive hit there. Look at him, he's well fired up, isn't he? And Skelton a little bit frustrated. And a little bit of frustration there. Some players getting tangled up. Well, as it stands, it's still La Rochelle in 5th place with 66 points, ahead of Racing. And Clermont are in 7th place, Po are in 8th place.
Yeah, Clermont's not a threat because they need to win by about 160 points on a points differential.
They're still, come on, we talked about this, Mitz.
More worrying for Racing at the moment. It's great they're back now within striking distance, but more worrying is both those teams that are genuinely in striking distance, Perpignan and Castres, have come right back into those games away from home. As we see this great strike from Tristan Tedder, but over here he's Tristan.
Tristan, that's right. Former USAP player, played for Toulouse, of course, played for Colomiers. And great utility back, isn't he? Plays at 10, he can play on the wing, he can play at 15. So you've got a South African version of the Swiss Army knife on the field, and he can just, he's a great asset to whatever club he plays, and Racing have picked him up.
Well, he might have to play 10 tonight because they haven't got a lot of cover, and they've got essentially 3 outside backs on the bench. And if you want to get Imhoff into the game, I think you're going to put him into the back 3, and it may be that Tedder steps forward.
Oh, they got Max Spring as well. He can play at 9. In any case, we'll see where we go. Gibert with a kick. It's a cross kick. It's not a bad one. Well, it's a little bit too overcooked there for Vinay Yahabusi, the Fijian from Nadroga. Former Fijian Drua player. 13th match playing for Racing.
He did well to drag that ball in because I think Gibert just overcooked that a little bit. And yes, he got up for it. Athletic as he is, 1 foot on the ground as he came down and then took it out. Otherwise, line out was probably 15, 20 metres back.
Perfectly taken there from the line out by Jeku. They go rumbling forward, and that's going to be a penalty. A collapse maul there coming in from Collinga.
The territory stats will be heavily in favour of La Rochelle at the moment, and although they've scored their 2 tries in the first half, they really haven't made the most of that territorial advantage.
Oh, Leonov just moved ahead of Toulouse, 26-21. Clermont 31-10 over Montpellier. And Perpignan on the cusp of scoring another try. If they score another try, a 4th try, they'll move ahead of Pau. And that will shake things up in a very big way. But it's they've managed to defend valiantly, the section paloise.
Non, c'est moi qui n'ai pas fait la bonne marque.
No, I'm just staying away.
J'ai pas fait la bonne marque, pardon. Ici, venez là.
Sur moi,
Rentrez.
sur moi.
Messieurs.
Line out
Les gars.
getting sorted here. Cameron Waukey's record in the line out, well, it's flapped back into the hands of Greg Aldrich. 49 caps for France. Great leader, great player. Oh, a brilliant break here for Will Skelton, and he does a little bit of juggling at the same time. Carballo gets it back out. There's the cross kick. Dylan Leds, it's gone too far. Will Skelton's break was absolutely sensational. He snapped himself away from the last defender, and the ball got flicked up in the air, but he still managed to catch it. Oh, that would have been something that would have been definitely put into the highlights reel.
Plenty of fast twitch there on Will Skelton. He's a huge man, but he can accelerate, and he's got good skills. Bobbled the ball there before regathering it. I'm sure that was a big thrill for the Racing defence that he regathered that. Here it goes, boom. Gibert making a pretty good fist of it on such a big guy. Skelton, of course, scored his first try of the season last week for La Rochelle, and he's inevitably an absolute menace with the ball in hand. We saw first half he had just a couple of runs, but they were enough just to get La Rochelle on the front foot.
And that gives La Rochelle the chance to just kick 3. In fact, all they want to do is get the win out here today, because that will just make sure that they stay where they are. And Hastoy does deliver from the tee, and they do move 8 points ahead.
Pénalité réussie pour le Stade Rochelais, inscrite par le numéro 10,
Arrêt du temps.
Antoine
9, non.
Hastoy. Stade Rochelais, 17, Racing
They've just
92,
announced,
9.
yeah, Tawera Carballo is off. Bergeron is on. It's been a big shift. He's been crucial to the La Rochelle effort.
Pour le Stade
This
Rochelais,
warrior.
la sortie du numéro 9, Tawera.
Trying hard not to be biased as a Kiwi.
No, that's okay. I mean, you know, it's his first game since April, so he's obviously, you know, had to recover from injury. Now he puts himself very much into the thick of it, goes off. It's a good 58 minutes for him. And that was out. Yeah, you can take that, Camille Chat, and it's a good call. Unfortunately, he came up against Skelton. There's the confirmation of Bergeron. Was the player who actually replaced, he played the first Champions Cup final down in Marseille against Leinster for La Rochelle, because Carballo had an injured finger, couldn't play, and he helped them win that first of 2 titles, of course, that saw them get crowned champions of Europe. Here's Rollins smashing into the La Rochelle defensive wall. Labai, Kamisha. Here they go again. Big charge from the Racing men as they go in search of a gap in that defensive line. They're holding fort so far. Jordan Joseph, former Pau player, went out on loan to Pau, who has been connected with Racing. Cameron Waukey trying to make inroads. Kulisi.
No, no, no.
Jegu just stopping him in his path and making him come off his feet. Look at the territory here, 63% for La Rochelle, but it's a little bit more Racing at the moment. It's a big gap behind that, defensive wall. There's no one who wants to kick the ball. They still want to just carry it forward, but they're not going any way. Very strong defensive performance here from La Rochelle, mates.
Yeah, they needed to go a little bit the same way. They've had to resort to the air. A little bit of a lottery it can be going to the air, but it's really a big tick for the La Rochelle defence, particularly the chop defence, and it's taking its toll on even the biggest guy, Will Skelton. But every time they went back and forth, Racing one side then the other, they just didn't get any forward momentum. Would have been interesting to see them just try and swing round the corner, do 2 or 3 phases, at least find a mechanism to get one ruck that was quick ball, because they ended up angling back into the defence in a way that the defensive player was able to fall over and really inhibit the clearance of the ball. Diallo coming off as well. Maybe haven't seen him with the ball in hand as much as we'd normally like to. Oh!
Well, this is a chance. This is a great opportunity. And La Rochelle, the pass was not good enough, I'm afraid, there for Lesbioc to just set it up for his teammate. Boris Balou coming on for Diallo. It's Jordan Joseph. Crushing into La Rochelle defence. Rollins again. So much is happening in the top 14, and Toulon have now crept back into the game at Jean-Bouin against Paris. It's 17-13. And Toulon trying to cause an upset in the French capital. Into the last 20 minutes we go. Labai, Jordan Joseph. Racing still moving forward. Flat, forward, whatever. Monsieur Praderie says continue. There's a player down. Bit concerning, and it's Oscar Jégu. As Ficou tries to roll around Danty. Does really well. It's his teammate in the French team, of course, when Danty's not injured. Penalty for Racing.
That's perfect for them, right in front. Another 3 points. The passing hasn't been crisp for Racing. There's been plenty of work, plenty of feeling, plenty of intent. But I just think off the base of the scrum, they're not giving the players forward momentum by getting that pass a little bit in front. You see so often a big guy like Rollins had to jump in the air and catch that ball static and then generate the acceleration. Finally, Ficou was able to get them a little bit of go forward, but he had to wrestle his way through it. They're not making themselves or giving themselves a couple of easy meters each time, Racing.
It would be a different game as well if they had those slick passes, because we just know how devastatingly good this Racing backline is.
Well, I think the ball's slipperier than we give it credit for, perhaps. It looks beautiful out there. The field's great, Robbie, and I've been saying, the accuracy or the static nature of it, but I think it is quite slippery and they're taking care. But yeah, the difference it could make, you're right.
You can see that there's high humidity levels, and Louis Penvan to replace Reda Wadi. Wonderful player. Former Mont-de-Marsan player. Came through Stade Rochelais, of course, the 21-year-old, and coming in, the future of La Rochelle front row. Not Mont-de-Marsan, of course. And we'll have to stand up and be counted as Chavancy comes back onto the pitch. Bayern still leading Castres 17-13, but Castres putting a lot of pressure on Bayonne on a wet night down in Jean Daugé. Now, what are they going to go? Is Tedder's going to go for the points to make it 17-12, which is a smart decision because that means score a try and they got a good chance of kicking it ahead, and he's already on 3 from 3.
Yeah, I guess the other teams, absolutely, 3 points is a no-brainer here. Get back within that 7-point margin. But they've spent so little time up this end, Racing, in the second half, even less than in the first half, that it must have sort of been a little voice in their head saying, can we make the most of it? The first time we've been up here, are we good enough? But I think absolutely it's too early yet, even though it looks like only 17 or 16 minutes to go. Too early to be starting putting eggs in that basket. They need to get the 3 regardless.
Well, there's the kick, and it's not a bad effort, is it? Right in front of the sticks. You wouldn't have put your money against him. And, well, there's a whole scenario that's happening in Bayonne because Castres have just moved ahead of Bayonne, and the travelling supporters down in the southwest of France in the pouring, driving rain. Jeremy Davison's men are going absolutely ballistic. The fans can't even stop themselves. That's a crazy scenario, and that turns things around in a big way. Really? As we see La Rochelle 17-12, Castres move up to 7th place, and if they can get themselves a bonus point, they'll move above Racing.
Bonus point might be a bit far for them at the moment. It's another 3 tries in that rain, but what the rain will do is help the team that's in front because they can just play down the end. At the moment, they're the same as Racing. Racing has the bonus point.
That's right.
Losing at this stage,
and
that's pretty tenuous.
And that's why if La Rochelle do score, then that gets taken away and Castres moves 6th. And of course, Castres are a team who are fully capable of, shaking things up. They were the outsiders going into the final, of course, against Montpellier, but they managed to win a couple of titles in the last in the last decade, and probably the most successful team in the top 14 behind Toulouse in the last decade. Pretty impressive. Lovely little kick down into the corner.
Yeah, back to the task at hand, isn't it, really? There's so much going on around the other locations, but this is a gripping match as well. And Racing, this is hard. They've got a long way to go to get out of their territory. They haven't found it easy at all in the second half to go forward, and there's a long way to go here. They're going to have to kick, and that just keeps feeding the possession back to La Rochelle. La Rochelle really in control of this game. Racing will be looking for something special from one of the number of special players they do have there, whether it's a Fiku suddenly getting himself into space. But for the moment, La Rochelle reasonably comfortably in control.
2013-2018, Castres managed to win those 2 titles, of course, and in 2021 they lost against Montpellier, of course, in the final, and then last year it was in 2022, and then last year, of course, was the successful campaign by Toulouse, edging La Rochelle in the final. 17-12 here, 13.5 minutes to go. Nothing is done just yet.
There's the problem for Racing. They do want to try coming out of their own territory 1 or 2 phases to see if they can get a break, get some go forward. But when they don't, they've got to clear it, and that's what they've found difficult there because they were so far infield that they had to really hook it round to make sure of the touch. So they didn't get far out of their own 22 at all.
Well, Waki goes up, Jeku, there's a lovely aerial battle taking place there, and this is Jordan Joseph taking the ball up and stopped in his path there by Cancorier. The clearance kick, La Rochelle in possession. Let's see what they've got to offer from here. Jack Noel. Kick straight down the gully. Oh, a little bit of pressure, Gibert running into trouble. And Tedder, he's been forced to just kick the ball out, but he doesn't gain distance. And look how far, a couple of meters. The pressure on Tedder at the back was absolutely sublime. Now they face a very tricky task with a good line out.
Well, this is what it comes from. Back in, probably only 10 or 15 years ago, you'd have said, what a nothing kick from Jack Noel. But it's a smart kick these days because he found grass. They had to take a little bit extra time, Racing, to collect the ball, control the ball. Then they made that tempting option to get the ball closer to the sideline, get the kick away, and it got them in all sorts of trouble. So the Noel kick really was crucial, finding grass.
Lespioc with a line out, taken well there by Cancorier. He goes down, it's been collapsed. don't know if the referee's going to say anything in the meantime. There he is, George-Henri Colombe moving forward, the marauding run. Big charge here coming from Yuan Tanga. They're up to the 5-meter line. La Rochelle looking to try and just get themselves that very important third try. And getting hit back by the Racing defence. Picked up once again. There's Bergeon, good pass, good hands. The Dante here doesn't get much space to actually get lift off and thrust forward. And they go again. Skelton is flung out wide. Great opportunity in the corner. No one will stop him from there, surely. Jack Noel, well, he's just an inspirational try scorer. And it looks like that is try number 3. The acceleration, the boosters were going. And the English winger hits the corner, scores the try. And that will just give them a big sigh of relief, La Rochelle.
It's very rare we've seen any space at all tonight for players. And Jack Noel has made it count. Maybe a question mark over those trailing legs. Did they get out? But his acceleration over that 10 metres has been crucial. Hambosi not able to get back into position. He'd been working hard on defence. He was the one trying to steal the ball where the advantage was given, and he couldn't get back in time to stop this man, Jack Noel.
Well, he's done it time and time again for Exeter. He's done it for La Rochelle. But how important is this one, of course? And the winger from Cornwall, the England international with his 44 caps, just showing what he's capable of doing for the Privateers in the west coast of France. That is a fine score at a vital time of this encounter against Racing 92. And they've moved 10 points clear with a chance to make it 12. And that is perfectly struck there by Hastoy. Creeps inside of the left post there, and over it goes. He's got that great ability to go from 0 to 60 miles per hour, you know, exaggeration marginally, but you know, over a short period of distance, and that is, you know, priceless. Boudon, Max Boudon coming on for Joseph. What a great game Joseph has had. And of course, Racing have that bonus point taken away, and Karst will be moving into that position now because they've put themselves ahead of Bayonne. And now we have our first shake-up of round 26. Eight and a half minutes to go.
Ohio West just happy to wind this clock down, put a little bit of scoreboard or time pressure onto Racing, get a little bit of desperation in their ranks. They've been striking the ball really well, the La Rochelle kickers. Been a huge night from Will Skelton. Obviously that fantastic run with the ball in hand, but the defence, he's been instrumental in stopping the go forward of Racing and putting a lot of pressure on their attacking structures. La Rochelle quite content, they're comfortable being able to get down the Racing end. I thought it might have almost been not a bad thing for Racing to concede that try so they could at least get down with the kickoff, get down the La Rochelle end, but the home team has been so good at just exiting their own territory and putting that pressure back onto Racing.
Well, Stade Francais still pushing themselves ahead of Toulon 23-13 as Toulon just started to reel them back in, but now they're under a little bit of pressure to against Toulon, Stade Francais, but they're still in that fourth position. So it is at the moment in that second position, of course. It is at the moment Toulouse at the top, Stade Francais second, Union Bordeaux-Bègles third. We have Toulon fourth, And the 5th place is La Rochelle. 6th place, it appears to be Castres at the moment. They've just moved ahead because Racing have lost that bonus, and Castres only need 4 points to move into that 6th position. And that's how tense it is. This is going to the wire wherever you're watching around the world. Hope you're enjoying, because this is wild. This is so tense. This is top 14. And everybody be on their phones on the side of the pitch just watching as Racing go in search. And what would happen if Racing moved ahead? Mertz?
Well, I'd be very surprised at this stage. 12 points down and 7 to go, and really struggling to threaten that line all night. But I guess they just swapped with La Rochelle. They're all eyes on Castres and Perpignan at the moment. Perpignan looks like Poe's gone ahead of them again. And I know we want to concentrate on this match, Robbie, but Castres down at Bayonne in the rain, really putting the heat on Racing. They'll be nervous, this coaching staff.
Bergeron. Max Spring. Max Spring's the number 9, and they get a penalty as well. We want to take this quickly. So this was the wily fullback, capable of playing number 9, coming on to replace Labai. Watched on by Lancaster, Tom Whitford, and of course Freddie Michalak.
I think they'll go line out here. They've got to score the try. There's no point going for the 3 points here. There they go. Get it 5 metres out. I don't know if that's close enough. Looks like about 8. Doesn't seem like a huge difference, 3 metres, but when you got to push that La Rochelle pack back, it's material.
Castres have a 6-point lead over Bayonne as it stands. They are the party poopers, Castres. They definitely know how to wreck things and mix things up, and they found themselves going ahead, which is quite extraordinary. They're in the driving seat against Bayonne. Let's see exactly what happens. 73 minutes played down in the Basque Country. Line out here. Racing on the attack. And there's Boris Palou, who just has it on the ground. Spring. Penven will try and pick it up, picks the ball up. He's shot down very quickly there by Ployer. Just meters out, trying to get themselves a try. Well, that's good work. Well, is that over? It looked like it was carried over. Held up, says Monsieur Praderie. That's a big, big call, that is, from the referee. But he might want to go to the CMO just to get confirmation. Yeah, of course he is. I thought that he'd been tackled and he just moved his hands and put the ball on the line, and maybe that will be the call.
Look, it's the worst possible result, if not, because you'd rather go for another phase than concede a goal line dropout for being held up over the line. And the worst result here for Racing could be a penalty against them for a second movement, because it really did look like they had a second bite at the cherry. Now, was that a ball placement, or was it trying to put a second movement on your body to ram it across the line, which of course is not allowed?
Okay, so, let's just look at this. This decision is the most important decision for Racing this season, because Castres have scored another try. So Castres, they're basically, looking. They've now got an 11-point lead before the conversion, so possibly 13. They've got that 6th position, unless Racing can come back and win.
Well, Castres got the 6th position, but they will not get a bonus point for tries. Here's the ball, as we see here. It's probably a place, and I think it's probably the right call. There's not going to be enough evidence there to overturn the referee's first call of held up, so it's going to be a goal line dropout for La Rochelle. Racing just needs to get a bonus point, because on points differential, they just need to get within 7, because on points differential, Castres cannot get ahead of them. And I think Castres is very unlikely to score another 2 tries in that last 5 minutes. Really is tense. It's great for the competition. It's great for rugby.
Yeah, it's just to fill you in with other results, of course. Bordeaux-Bègles cruising against Oyen now already relegated, of course. UBB will finish in the 3rd position. Clermont against Montpellier. They've got an outside chance of qualifying. Clermont-Montpellier play the access match next Sunday at 6 p.m. local time here in France against Grenoble, who lost against Vannes. in the final of the Pro D2 earlier today. Lyon are cruising against Stade Lausanne. It's a B team for B-side for Stade Lausanne, but Lyon will want to finish with a high, of course. Baptiste Coyot with 16 tries. And this is the decision. It is a kick out from the try line, and it is La Rochelle who regain possession. You called it, Mertz.
Well, I think it's just a question of patience, and that's very easy to say, again, sitting in comfort. You're desperate to get across the line, but when you're not there, when you can't be sure of getting it there, probably better just to leave the ball, play another phase. You're putting the pressure on the defence there, and Racing just a little bit too eager to score that too soon. In saying that, great defence once again from La Rochelle.
Situation is a little bit complicated for Perpignan. They trail 31-17. It's all about Cast and Racing at the moment. Charge going deeper into enemy territory. Got to get that bonus point. They score a try and a conversion in the last 4.5 minutes, and they will finish in the 6th position. Their season hangs on the last 4.5 minutes here in La Rochelle. Advantage and a penalty.
It's got to be line out again for Racing.
Nervous moments for Laurent Travers.
They got close before. They shifted the ball. The last line out drive they shifted it off the jumper back to the front where Rollins took it in, and they moved the point of attack, and it got quite close to the line there. They didn't make it, and they probably won't again if they do that, but it'll be interesting to see what their tactic is here. First things first is to win the ball.
Player tackled off the ball there as well. It's Aldred who was taken out, but they've got a line out. Lancaster, Michalak, watch on. Such an important play. This line out needs to be clinical. Cameron Waukee is on the pitch. Will Rowlands is there as well. An opportunity, but they've got to get possession first. Perfectly taken there by Waukee. It's a good pass as well as they move forward. It's a good driving charge this is with that man, Sedat Gomez-Sarr, moving forward, moving closer. Need to be patient. They got an advantage here. Player tackler not rolling out of the way. The ball comes out. There's a chance for them to move forward. That's a try. The try has been scored, and it is Baudon who crashes over the line. Now that's half of the job done. Now they've got to kick this, and they've got to hold on after that. 24 points to 12, and we'll get to see what happens from the 24-17. They've got to kick the conversion, of course.
No, they get a point now, don't they? Within 7.
5.
Or 7.
5.
Oh, has it changed? Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, well, that does. Thank goodness I'm not trying to kick this then. Wouldn't have worried.
Oh, Tristan Tadder will be the player who they'll want to try and kick from this tee. And, you know, with 2.5 minutes to go, we'll see exactly what he's capable of doing. Great work there from Baudon. And now it comes down to this. Tadder to potentially take them into the playoffs. No stress. He's been kicking very, very well, of course.
Oh, don't say that. Oh, he's been great from long range.
He absolutely nails it. Tedder kicks the conversion, and with less than 2 minutes to go, Racing move back into the 6th spot. A nervous 90 seconds before the final siren is heard here at Marcel de Flandre. Well, what about this? A scenario that is absolutely loufoque, as they say in French, which means madness. Baudon with the score, Tedder with the conversion. Now it's all about holding on.
They cannot relax now, Racing. Everything has to be accurate here. Cannot afford to give up a penalty in their own half, because La Rochelle will take the shot, won't they?
They definitely will. They definitely will. This is all about, you know, getting one over your rivals. But there again, who wants Castres in the playoffs? Picked up by Boris Palou. We are into the last minute and a half here. It's all about clearing your lines.
Well, the message will have gone down to Racing for sure. Play this like we're up by 2.
Well, there's your clearance kick, and it just takes a few more seconds off the clock. Aldrich comes off, Jegu comes back on, Spring clears his lines, and so much at stake here. This is nerve-wracking down in Bayonne, of course, and also here in, it's all happening on the West Coast, basically. Last minute. All they need to do is hold on, Racing, because the other result doesn't matter if it stays the same. Good hunting there coming from that man, Gomez Sarr. Discipline is going to be key, of course. You can hear it. It's the main word that's being shouted out. But oh, there's a knock on. Went backwards, says Monsieur Praderie. Thought he lost control personally. 20 seconds remaining. Jegu. And of course, they don't want to lose. They don't want to lose possession here as well, because they just want to win this game. This is not about anything else apart from one team winning. And I think they won't want to try and score. Once we get down to 80 minutes, they'll kick the ball out, because if they lose, they're in trouble. They'll get rid of it. Both of these two teams are winners tonight, and that's what it comes down to. Racing, well, they were out only minutes away, and now they're back in, and they get the point that takes them through. Castres have to not get a bonus point, which is the only thing that could potentially get in the way. And but 24-19 the final score. La Rochelle beat Racing here at Marcel de Flandre as we wait for the Clermont for the Castres score.
And we've got multiple screens here where we can see Bayonne Castres, and down there they are watching these very images. The Castres coaching staff, the players sideline, they've done as much as they possibly could. They won't get a bonus point for tries. 28-17, I think, is now the final score down at Bayonne, and they're starting to realise there they have just fallen short of getting into the playoffs, Castres.
And Stade Francais have beaten Toulon 23-20. Stade Francais will finish in the second place. They qualify directly into the semi-finals. They're going straight to Bordeaux with Toulouse in second place. They miss out on the playoffs. They'll await the winner of potentially Racing and
Bordeaux, I think
it's
it will
Union
be
Bordeaux-Bègles, isn't it? It's Union Bordeaux-Bègles. Wow, this is all happening here. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. The smiles, the relief, Stuart Lancaster and Freddie Michalak, Tom Whitford, they're all there. They know that they've, well, gone through an emotional roller coaster and survived.